introduce you my friend Silvia.
Hello, nice to meet you.
And
it's a pleasure.
She's gonna make you those questions and okay, have a good time.
Okay, I'll ask you only a few questions.
That's good.
Okay. Many people believe you to be the pioneer of a new psychological movement that combines Eastern and Oriental traditions and ways of thinking with notions and techniques of the best Western contemporary psychology. How does one recombine dichotomies and prejudices which are often too well eradicated?
Prejudice is part of people's psychological makeup. And it's not a matter of recombining. It's a matter of learning one's real human nature, which is beyond the individual, which is more true goodness that is very deep, and for most people it's very buried. It's waking up that part. That part has no prejudice. So that part, if we can connect with that deep part of our consciousness, which is goodness and love and compassion, intelligence, we will be able to see our prejudice. First, we become clear of our prejudice. We understand where it comes from, because prejudice, we're not born with it. We learn it. We learn it from our experience, we learn it from our relationship. So by understanding these, seeing them, bringing them up, and working through their emotions, then the inner nature within, the divine, or the infinite nature within will come through, and that one has no prejudice, it has no opinion. It basically just acts in a naturally good way. But that's not easy for everybody to connect. It takes lots of attention, lots of practice, lots of meditation, or psychological work together. So erasing prejudice is not going to be easy for all of people. You do it with individuals. Individuals can work on it themselves. For big nations, it's very difficult. It has to go through the even slower process. Negotiation, interest, and stuff like that.
Practice makes perfect.
Yes. Well, practice is needed for those kind of changes, because we have prejudice. We believe prejudice is part of our identity. We need it to survive. When in reality we don't. It's just a belief.
Yeah, we have to work at it.
We have to work on it, and we have to recognize it. Acknowledge it first. Yeah. Recognize this prejudice and see why we have the prejudice. Does it really help us? Does it help anybody? We need to see all of them.
Yeah, many aspects.
Many aspects.
Okay, may I ask you the following question? Yeah? Okay. In your work, you state that thanks to the integration between the teaching of the principal spiritual traditions and the knowledge acquired from Western psychology, modern psychology is not reduced simply to therapy of earthly suffering, but becomes a key instrument to free the human spirit. Could this be a part of the journey towards self-realization?
That is what I do. Not everybody does it that way. Most spiritual teaching do not use modern psychology the way I do. But because I grew up learning about it, knowing it, at the same time having the spiritual experience and learning about the tradition, my process naturally integrated the two. So learning about my essential or true nature, that is love and goodness and awareness, and seeing the psychological constellation became integral, became organically connected. So by seeing the psychological, understanding it, you really understand it, not from a perspective of making it better, which is therapy, but from the perspective of finding out what's it about, what is true about it. If we follow the truth of it, the truth will take us to the deeper truth, which is our spiritual nature.
Is it a question of we are who we come, where we come from?
We are what we come from originally, but we believe we come from our family, from our culture, so we end up identifying with something on the surface, not false, but superficial parts that we can recognize by going through using the psychology and going beyond it, that we come from something deeper, something original, that's eternal.
Okay. May I go on with the next question? Okay. During your spiritual and academic journey, you began a collaboration with Sand, contributing immensely to this project. Do you believe this may help to give the diamond approach a wider public?
Well, the idea is that the diamond approach is a body of knowledge and useful way of looking at reality and working with it. And I thought of making it accessible to a wider public who might benefit from it. Because there are many people who follow other paths. But the other path, they do not have the knowledge I have. They do not have the knowledge of how to integrate psychology, for instance. And I know things about consciousness that are not included in other paths. So I'm making them available to the wider public, although I have a bigger school where I teach all of that. So I sometimes find myself as an ambassador to a larger public, just for them to know. It might be useful for them to integrate into their own practice, their own work. Yeah. Sand has been very useful that way, because Sand is interested in consciousness, but also how consciousness integrated with scientific understanding. And I have both backgrounds. I am a scientist. I was trained as a scientist, but I work as a spiritual teacher, so I can talk about both and combine them together. And that's why Sand likes me and I like them.
Good, fair enough.
I have got... we wish so. Yes, we're waiting for Sand. Very exciting about that. I've got a question too for you. If it's possible, just what about one of your first teacher, Claudio Naranjo, and his spiritual and psychological teach, and which one is the influence that he gave you?
Well, the main influence Claudio had on me is that he was one of the first people who could think that the spiritual and the psychological can go together.
Yeah.
So he taught psychology and he taught spirituality together.
Combined.
He's pioneer in that way. So I learned from him that way. Plus I also learned many other things. Yeah. And then I took that understanding and developed it further into a greater integration between the psychology and the spiritual. So instead of two things, they become one thing.
Yeah. One is connected to the other.
Yeah, when they're connected. Because when you think
interconnected.
It's the same consciousness that has psychology that also has a spiritual nature. It's the same consciousness. So they have to be connected.
And we work better.
We live better.
We live better.
Hopefully the world is a big mess these days. Whatever we can do to make it better, we will. And have a good time. Yeah, well, I think one thing to note is that understanding about consciousness, both scientifically and spiritually, is not only useful for our life, but learning about it is a great delight. It's a lot of enjoyment. Learning about it yourself in a way you never learned before, just like traveling to a new, beautiful country. You're traveling inside yourself into a new nation that are beautiful. Some are difficult, it's like regular traveling. Some are very good. So it could be a lot of fun.
True.
Great.
Okay. Thank you. It's been an honor to know you and speak to you. Thank you very much.
See you. Maybe I'll see you there.
Yes,
Hopefully.
we're waiting for you. Thanks so much, and it was such a pleasure to meet you.
Thank you very much for your time.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye.